Two of the Koeberg Nuclear Power Station has experienced an unplanned, non-technical shutdown while operating at full capacity. The incident occurred during maintenance work on Unit 1, which is currently offline for its long-term operation program. The shutdown was handled smoothly, with the unit safely brought offline in line with its established protection protocols. Let's bring in energy analyst Adil Nchabeleng to find out the implications of this. Adil, a very good evening to you. Thank you for your time. What do you make of this situation? What are the implications?
I think Eskom has already handled the situation pretty well, in the sense that this was a non-technical trip, which means that it had nothing related to technicality. It was a standard operating procedure following the currently highly well-established global nuclear protocol standards with regards to anything that could happen that might trigger an incident. So this was actually a cautionary trip, which actually was helping with regards to the problems, because it was triggered based on the repair work that was done on unit number 1. So the fact that Eskom has managed under the Koeberg plant from the nuclear side of to literally make sure that the trip, one, wouldn't affect and cause load shedding, tells us that we have a functioning, well-executed team that is doing incredible work. The second to the part of it is, as you know, the nuclear issues is always related to nuclear safety and a whole lot of things around hazardous nuclear operation. And in this case, South Africa is proving again, since 1960, we've had nuclear energy without any incident in the country, without any issues relating to nuclear safety issues that have always been touted, which means nuclear is the safest, most operational, energy source in the country and globally as well. We haven't had any incidents except since the last two major incidents in the world. So we're looking at something that South Africa should be paying a lot of attention. One, on ensuring that we increase the capacity of nuclear. Secondly, to ensuring that South Africa's nuclear sector industry, whether it's the educational side of it, on the sciences part of it, mathematics, science, as well as physics, is actually increased in the country, where young people can focus on this particular, learning career path. And we can have a lot of people that are focusing on the nuclear, because the future of the world around net zero, carbon net zero energy, will be based on the backbone of nuclear as the most operational, most net zero efficient energy, as well as a non-polluting energy, which will be regarded as green. So, this is quite encouraging to see that it has been handled pretty well and there hasn't been an incident. And it was just a cautionary trip on the fact that there was something that was actually going on in unit trip while it was being maintained. It's a non-technical trip, so it shouldn't be sending people into an alarm situation.
When you talk about increasing the capacity of nuclear, as we stand as a country, what are the big challenges we face in speeding up that process?
The current big challenges we face is the lobby organizations that are currently blocking and have been well paid and funded globally to stop the rolling out of nuclear. If you know, currently there's cases currently in the High Court that are actually stopping the Department of Electricity as well as the Department of Energy from going forward with the nuclear procurement plan of the 2,500 megawatts. So we have a huge lobby and advocacy groupings that are well paid, that are posing as if they are interested in the environmental sense of things. But these are organizations that their main job is to ensure that South Africa does not succeed at reindustrializing the country and having the nuclear energy capacity that we need, which is cheap energy, reliable, firm, as well as baseload energy that would provide us long-term, 60 to 80 years of almost cost-free electricity in the world. And it's clean and it's environmentally green, and it actually encourages the development of the key critical sciences that we need. So the major challenges is not government. Government wants to implement nuclear, but we have lobby organizations and advocacy organizations that are just paid to stop government in its tracks towards implementing and actually expanding the nuclear build program in South Africa.
Eskom has acknowledged that overall generation capacity remains constrained. How should we interpret that?
Look, currently Eskom is surviving, and they are currently carrying out a huge maintenance program, which means that they have taken on their part to ensure that they can increase. Right now, they are doing maintenance at about 7,000 megawatts. With the current trip, where they have lost 930 megawatts, they are mitigating against that by ensuring that some of the units that they are currently working on maintenance and the units that are sitting currently on unplanned capacity loss factor, which is what is currently the breakdowns. They are bringing them back in line and supplementing the current loss. So that is why you're not seeing a triggering of load shedding as a sense that we have lost almost 1,000 megawatts, where we should be going automatically. If there was no additional capacity, we should be moving into a load shedding cycle. But Eskom has mitigated against that. And as you know, by tomorrow midday or by the afternoon, this current unit 2 should be back in operation, and that 930 megawatts should be restored back into the grid, which will then provide additional needed electricity at a base load level to make sure that the country does not suffer and does not bring on an energy load shedding crisis or a blackout situation. So, I think the trip on its own is just a temporary situation which would not necessarily necessitate Eskom moving into a load shedding cycle. But if many other trips happen on other plants, for instance, then we would see a necessitation of the return of load shedding. But at this stage, there is no indication that we would have a load shedding return. And this unit is actually already planned because the non-technical nature of it necessitates that they just follow protocol, which is nuclear regulatory protocol, on restarting it, bringing it back into operation, and making sure that it's synchronized into the national grid.